Welcome to I Have Issues, a comic book show where I talk about comic book related subjects that annoy me. Last month I said we were going to be starting a 3-part look at the character of Iron Fist, so let's get started with some of the things that go into the character, namely tropes. Now for those who don't know, a trope is when a certain expression is used to describe something symbolically. For example, the trope of a dark and troubled past is a common one, the trope being used to describe a character having something traumatic happen in the character's past that affects the person they become later. Common examples are things like dead parents, a history of abuse, or abandonment. Tropes are in every piece of media you watch or read, and for the most part, they're harmless, and Iron Fist has several tropes like that. There's the idiot hero, which is seen in the show at least, as a character who doesn't really understand certain aspects of the modern world and only shows real competence when fighting or leading a few friends into combat. Then there's enhanced punch, which should be kind of self-explanatory. A regular punch isn't going to cut it in the fight, so the protagonist has to enhance their punching power in some way to make the punch stronger, which is what Iron Fist does when he charges his fist with ki. Like I said, a lot of tropes are harmless, but some of them are more frowned on than others, and Iron Fist definitely has one that a lot of people take issue with, namely the Mighty Whitey trope, though I've always heard it referred to by the much better name of the White Savior trope. The Mighty Whitey trope is a trope that most people should recognize. A white person is displaced in some foreign country and ends up living with the native people. Over time it's revealed how amazing they are, and the white person either becomes the native people's greatest hero/leader ever, or they're revealed to be the one special person they needed that could solve some problem that they couldn't handle alone. Iron Fist's origin is very much rooted in this trope. Danny Rand's family was on a trip to the mystical city of Kunlun, his father having lived there when he was younger. On the way there, his father fell off a mountain ledge and his mother was killed by wolves before Danny was eventually found by the monks of Kunlun, who took him in and raised him, eventually becoming the Iron Fist. In the show, it's a bit different in that they were on a plane that crashed and the monks found Danny in the wreckage. Either way, this kid was taken in and demonstrated that he had the potential to become one of their greatest heroes, and did so by becoming the Iron Fist, which sounds like a pretty good example of the Mighty Whitey trope. To my knowledge, Iron Fist was never the biggest thing at Marvel. He was just kind of around, hanging out with Luke Cage and the Defenders when not doing his own thing, and people seemed to be okay with just ignoring he existed. But then the Netflix series got announced, and Marvel started getting a lot of shit. Because let's be honest here, the idea behind the Mighty Whitey trope is racist. It's saying that white people are superior and all other races can't do anything unless this superior white person comes in to help them. And let me just say, as a white person, that's a load of bullshit. There ain't nothing special about being white, and if you think it does make you better than anyone else, do yourself a favor and pull your head out of your ass. So a character that's based around a very racist idea got shoved into the spotlight. People went from just tolerating this comic book character to angry that Marvel would try to push for that character to have their own series in their beloved MCU. I see why both the fans were angry and why Marvel probably did it anyway. People nowadays are smart enough to know that this backstory is problematic and don't want to see a character like that in a show. Marvel probably did it for the money, since they wanted to do Defenders and the ones in the show made up the original team. Give each one of them a series and then bring them together in a team up like they did with the Avengers, and the money flies at you. Did that succeed? Well, we'll talk about that later, but I imagine that was probably a big reason behind making the show despite people's anger. Personally, I don't ever expect them to fully address this in the show, but it was kind of addressed in the comics. While researching this episode, I found most of the information about tropes on tvtropes.com. While looking around on there, I found a particular book called The Immortal Iron Fist, a series I haven't read, though might pick up just to see if it's any good. From what I read about the book, Marvel tries to lampshade the whole Mighty Whitey business that created the character. Apparently, this comic reveals two major things. First, that Iron Fist isn't the only immortal weapon. There are 6 other cities like Kunlun, and each one has a champion like Iron Fist, all of whom, to my knowledge, are native to their respective cities, unlike Danny. Second, that Iron Fist is apparently one of the weaker immortal weapons. Basically, they took the character and said he wasn't as special as previously believed. Yes, he still became the champion of this city, but they probably could have found someone better for the part. At least that's what it feels like it's saying. Again, I haven't read it yet. So the comic side of Marvel is at least aware of the issues surrounding the character and did a few things to address it, though to my knowledge people still don't like that he's around. The show, on the other hand, doesn't really seem like it's worried about addressing it, though they do make Danny seem naive in a lot of ways and make him seem like he needs to grow into the role. But I'll go into more detail about that in a later episode. Really, I feel that if they wanted to disassociate any sort of negative feelings toward the character of Iron Fist, they should consider giving him a legacy. Marvel's done that several times at this point, so why not give one to Iron Fist? Create a new character to take up the mantle of the Iron Fist, and they're actually a native person of Kunlun. Tie his origins to Danny's story somehow, and it could work. Maybe Danny's charged with training the next person to take up the mantle. He works with several people who volunteer for the part before finding the right person, and they become a sort of sidekick for him. Sidekicks really aren't much of a thing anymore besides Robin, so not only does it establish a legacy for him, it helps move him away from the negative perceptions of the character and helps him stand out with something that's sort of unique at this point. But those are just my own thoughts, and really, while that would be interesting to see, how good it is would depend on the writing and the version of Iron Fist they're portraying in the book. Because that's something else I've noticed about him. Iron Fist's personality seems to change depending on which book he's appearing in. But that is for next time. And that's it for me. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any comments on Tropes or Iron Fist in general, feel free to leave a comment down below. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I hope you'll come back next month as we talk about my second biggest problem with Iron Fist, his portrayal in the comics. Thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time.